We believe this time is like no other. We refer to these as the tectonic shifts.
All the hyperscalers in the world, if you add them all together, managed services will be 1.5 times larger.
Because it is the customer buying behavior that has created the need for all of us to rethink our models.
Until we have data quality, the effectiveness of AI cannot be realized, and effectiveness of the partnerships cannot be realized.
Can you figure out first what your purpose is and how Microsoft can support your purpose and how you can support Microsoft purpose? Now we have a partnership. It's the ultimate partnership.
Partner live stream. We're taking the Ultimate Partner and the Ultimate Guide to Partnering live to you here. I'm Vince Menzione, the CEO of Ultimate Partner and the host of the Ultimate Guide to Partnering podcast. I'm joined in the studio with Jen Weiss. Jen, so great to have you here.
It is a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to join you at these events.
Live and in person. Jen has an incredible career as a partner development director at Microsoft. Before that, I actually knew you when you were with a partner going back 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You were very young at the time, I'll note that. And we got to know each other very well. On the live stream as well, we have Aaron Feiger. I would call, literally wrote the book on co-selling. Today's session is about co-selling with Microsoft. I have the leaders in the room who understand Microsoft and how to co-sell with Microsoft. We have Ashley Vogstad, the CEO of Transcends, a leader in go-to-market strategies, working with partners to achieve their greatest results as Partner of the Year status and otherwise. And Leanne Campbell, the leader of Rev Alliances, another great friend, someone who has taken an ISV to the pinnacle, the top award-winning partner working with Microsoft. We have such a great set of leaders here. These ladies were on stage at our last event in Redmond, Washington on May 1st and 2nd. Their workshop was the top-ranked workshop at the event. I mean, people were applauding at the end of the session. And so I asked them to join us live here in the studio to give you a little snapshot of what they do, what's so unique about what they do, as well as working with Microsoft. And then they're going to bring it to us live at our next event, October 27th through the 29th, in Reston, Virginia as well. So we're going to have you on main stage, not in a workshop this time. Jen, having you in the room is a privilege as a Microsoft leader, and you have been leading through this change that's been going on. These tectonic shifts have been happening at Microsoft. I thought we'd spend a moment here first talking about all the changes that have been happening. We had Nina Harding here in the studio just a couple of weeks ago, but give us your perspective on all the change that's been happening.
Yeah, and you mentioned we met a while ago, back in the days when I was at a partner, and seeing what Microsoft's going through now, I've been a Microsoft partner my entire career. So I've been at channel partners, I've been at services partners, I've been at ISVs, and I've been at different parts throughout the Microsoft ecosystem now, kind of going along. It's been an interesting shift, but for those of you who are a partner and you're trying to navigate the Microsoft ecosystem, I think there's 3 things that you should know about the changes that we made this year. The first thing is we've simplified. So we used to have 6 cloud solution areas, and now we're down to 3
Thankfully.
Cloud solution areas. And I think about it this way. The most important one, no matter what you're doing, is security.
Yeah.
So you can put all these solutions in the cloud and you can build all this great stuff, but if it's not secure, then you have problems. So security is the first cloud solution area. And then the other 2 I kind of break into 2 areas. It's your AI business solutions. And that you can think of as the products that Microsoft sells directly.
First party products.
Yep, first party products that we sell directly. And we sell them per user, per seat, and it's monthly active users. That's your core. That's your Office or your Microsoft 365, your Copilot, your Dynamics, that piece of it. And then you also have your cloud and AI platforms, which brings everything together kind of under that Azure bucket.
That's right.
So that's the first big shift we made. And with that collapse from 6 solution areas down to 3, we've collapsed a lot of roles. So the people that you work with, that's kind of shrunk the individuals that you might work with. There's more of them, but they have a broader scope to match those solution areas. So that's the first. The second shift that we talked about at the last session was the shift of our enterprise, which includes our strategic 500 accounts plus majors.
Yep.
And then the partner organization that supports the enterprise are kind of still part of our global partner organization, which has changed to enterprise partner solutions. So EPS.
EPS is a new acronym this year to
Yes,
learn.
instead of
EPS.
GPS, it's EPS. And then anyone that was supporting our small, medium enterprises and channel. So it used to be SMC, the small, medium, and corporate. Now it's small, medium enterprises and channel. So the partners that were supporting that category of customers have now moved into that organization to make it a little bit more seamless on how they work together.
And we saw that start to happen last year. We had Nicole Deason on stage at our event in May, talking about the shift of her organization under Ralph Haupt, who's the leader of SMC at the time, now SME&C.
Yep.
Some people call it SMEC. We try and stay away from SMEC, but it is an interesting acronym. And then now that team is very much channel focused, right?
Correct, correct. And so CSP is the big hero motion within that versus just consumption when you're looking at, in the Microsoft Azure consumption commitments when you're looking at enterprise.
And so the people that manage the ISVs and also the GSIs, and you sit in that organization that manages the GSIs, they report into this enterprise selling organization. And then they're also, in each of the regions, there are Americas, APAC, and EMEA, they're aligned to the selling organizations that are, I think there's 13,000 all up enterprise
Sellers.
Accounts.
Yeah.
Accounts. And then the channel piece is in this SME&C organization. They call that the fourth region now, that channel. So that's also a very large part of the business.
Correct. And so the roles you work with are kind of similar. You still have account executives, which you work with in the early stage in identifying opportunities. And then you have specialists that you work with once you have an opportunity. And then you have your unified customer success team that works after it. So those roles still exist in both organizations. They just function a little bit differently. One's focused directly on customers and the other one's more focused on territories.
And we're going to get into the level of expertise here on co-selling with those teams too. We've got some of these leaders here are going to talk about that here.
So one more change.
Yes.
So one more change. You know, if you're sitting and listening to this today, obviously AI is a huge part of how businesses can be more dynamic these days, and businesses can deliver results in different ways today and be more efficient. So AI is the big one. That's really the third shift. So when you think about AI, Microsoft has a history when we were founded to build software, right? We were the builders of software and bringing that software to market. Now, the shift is really to put the software in everyday individuals, to allow them to be able to take and build applications that they bring to market leveraging AI. And we have this concept now, and so trying to change kind of our mission and vision to enable everyone to be able to take this to market. So we have this concept now of being a frontier firm.
Yeah.
Right? And we want partners to start by being a frontier firm.
Yeah, so frontier firm is very interesting. In fact, it's going to bring up our next discussion point. Ashley Vogstad, who's on, leads her own organization. Ashley, I'd love to hear more about frontier firm from you, because I think you've had a recent experience helping to shift your organization and focusing in this direction.
Yeah, I love what Jen just said about partners becoming frontier firms. So I think a great starting point is very likely, if you're tuning into this session today, you are a frontier firm. So this term you'll hear many people at Microsoft speaking about, and really it was popularized in their 2025 Work Trends Index report. The title of the report is 2025, the year the frontier firm was born. And really a frontier firm is defined by three things. You have intelligence on tap, human agent teams, and a new role for everyone as an agent boss. And one of the pieces in the report, personally, I found really interesting, is that 82% of global leaders say that they're confident they're going to use digital agents as team members in the next 12 to 18 months.
That is absolutely fascinating to me. That change to using agentic AI and bots as part of your organization. I know you've done things within your own organization to embrace this and agentic AI. Can you take us through a little bit of that?
Yeah, and Vince, as always, you and Ultimate Partner, the community here has been so supportive. So it was actually at the last Ultimate Partner Live that Transcends announced our agents to help in the Partner of the Year process. So I think it was on your podcast, maybe, we announced the Award Assessor Agent this year. I think when people think of generative AI and agents, the first thing that you might think that we would have built is something to actually write a Partner of the Year award. But actually, we found really cool innovations and efficiencies in different parts of the process. And the award assessor agent actually acts as a judge. So it ingests a draft of, say, a Partner of the Year, Microsoft Partner of the Year award submission would be an example. And it takes our nearly 100-point rubric and gives you feedback on where your submission is weak and where it could be stronger. Even things like sentiment analysis is included in there. And Microsoft has been a huge support. We got invited down to Redmond to share this Customer Zero story of how Transcends is creating tech intensity in even non-technical roles. So it was our project managers, our marketers who actually got hands-on keys in Copilot Studio and started building out these agents. And today we have over 90% of the team in Copilot daily. And we guess that these agents this year in Partner of the Year saved us over $200,000.
Wow, that's absolutely fascinating. And just think about it from a partner perspective. For a partner that's trying to go for Partner of the Year awards, having these agents help you through the process, it's a mind-bending process to go through, let alone, and it's just incredible what you've been doing with it. We've been talking about the digital buyer. We've been talking about the tectonic shifts we've been seeing, the transformation we've been seeing across all disciplines, AI and marketplaces and so on. But really the changing in the buying persona has changed. And I know you spent some time recently speaking at events talking about the digital buyer. Can you expand on that a little bit with us?
Yeah, I know Jay McBain is a big Ultimate Partner fan, has been featured on the podcast numerous times. And some of the research out of Canalys talks about the 28 steps in the buyer journey. It's a lot of steps. Yeah. And one of the stats that always gets me is that you're completed 70% of that buying journey before the average customer of yours will actually engage with a sales rep. So 70% of that journey being complete. And so we want to think about this new digital buyer, which is essentially the millennial and the Gen Z audience. And a couple things that, I found really just groundbreaking. 66% of buyers who are involved in large and complex transactions. So let's pause there. Large and complex, we're talking about deals of over $1 million USD being transacted online. And 66% of these buyers are now that millennial and Gen Z audience. So we've seen this decades shift to this new buyer. And also interesting, 39% of B2B buyers are now willing to make a single transaction online of over $500,000. And I think these are changes we've been seeing coming for the last few years, but we are at a pivotal moment where we are tipping the scales and really coming into maturity around this digital first buyer.
It really is. It speaks back to, I talked about the acceleration that we saw during COVID and the embracing of digital in so many areas. I mean, I hit my phone 3 times and boxes show up at the end of the day. And that's transferred into the corporation today and the millennial buyer today that is very comfortable in these scenarios. And we'll talk a little bit more about marketplaces as we go on, but that's indicative of what we're seeing in terms of buying behavior in general and how comfortable they are with multi-million-dollar transactions, in fact, digitally. So just incredible. Thank you for sharing that, Ash. Jen, back over to you, because like, how do I work with Microsoft? This is where I think a lot of people get lost. Right? And people come up to me every day, in fact, and say, we're new to Microsoft, we're AWS, we're Google, and now we've moved to Microsoft's cloud, but we just don't get it. We don't understand how to work with their selling organization. But Microsoft has laid out like a language and a blueprint. And I was hoping we could spend some time there about speaking the language of Microsoft. You know it better than anybody. I mean, you were around co-selling 10 years ago, in fact.
Well, you started with people getting lost. Like, have you ever traveled to a foreign country, which I know you have?
Yes.
And if you go to a foreign country and you don't speak the language and you don't have a couple of those key phrases like, where's the bathroom, right?
Dove il bagno?
Yeah. You know, if you don't know how to speak the language, it's hard to navigate and it's hard to get around. Well, I mean, if each of you as a partner is out there and you think about the size of your organization and then you think about the size of Microsoft, is it more relevant for you to speak Microsoft's language or for them to learn your language and how you go to market? So a couple of things, and it's not that, like, I was just in Japan, I learned a couple key phrases, or when I visited France, learned a couple key phrases. You don't have to know everything, but you should know a couple things. So the first thing you should know in speaking the language is to understand that Microsoft has the 3 cloud solution areas. And within those solution areas, we have solution plays. Now, there is a playbook that you can go download for each solution area. And in that playbook, it tells you how to speak the language.
I think we're showing the playbook, actually.
Well, yeah, this
Isn't
is
that
this is actually pieces of it. So you go get the playbook and you understand what the solution plays are that tie to your solution.
I love it.
You understand what products are in there, and you understand how your solution helps drive consumption of those products. And then lastly, you know, most people miss out on the opportunity to use our funding programs. We have funding programs for pre-sales. We have funding programs for post-sales for all of those core solution plays. So if you align to that funding program, you can use them. So those are the keys. So if you want to speak the Microsoft language and work with the Microsoft seller, start on number 1 on the screen there.
Yep.
Start with downloading those playbooks and understanding the language that Microsoft is speaking. So that's the first place.
That's the first place.
Yep.
And then we're going to go into the second area here. MCEM was a foreign word a few years ago. In fact, when we did our very first Ultimate Partner Live, we had someone get up for the first time and talk about MCEM. And now it's become part of our tradition, our rituals. And in fact, at our last event, you were covering MCEM pretty fluidly for our viewers and viewers watching in the room and those on the live stream. I thought maybe we could spend a little time here, because when I was at Microsoft, we didn't have a predictable methodology. So everybody followed their own sales methodology.
Yep.
So what's changed?
Yeah, everybody followed their own sales methodology, and then for each solution area, they had a different methodology. So depending upon which solution area you're working with, and a couple of years ago, it combined all down to MCEM, which is the Microsoft Customer Engagement Methodology. And if you go to that playbook, for each play, you are going to see that. And I still am shocked by the number of partners that I meet and get introduced to that don't know what MCEM is, they haven't seen the playbook, and they haven't used. So we, in that playbook, give you all the stages. So you have marketing. So we have the ability to find propensity lists. We have the ability to download the marketing material that you can customize and make your own. And then you go through the 5 stages of MCEM. So the first stage, and by the way, if you're in the pre-sale stage, which is MCEM stage, listen and consult, you're mostly working with the account executives, right? Their job is to identify enough pipeline.
Yep.
Then you keep moving, you have the qualification stage, right, which is inspire and design. You're working with the specialists. Now, the qualification stage has funding, right? So if you are a certified specialized partner, you can leverage the funding programs. Most partners still want to do it their own way, and then they miss out on the opportunity for funding, and they also miss out on, if Microsoft is selling, they're selling one way, and they're going to position this funding program. And if you're not a partner using it, you miss out on that opportunity. And then it continues through there.
And this is so different than the old days. We'd have to go up and we'd have to ask and ask and ask and ask, and ultimately it would get elevated up to the right level, a Judson's level, or someone at that level to discuss funding mechanisms.
Yeah.
And there was like a whiteboard in a room where things where
The
deals
win
were-
room.
the win room
The
and
digital
deals were,
win room.
yeah, there was a digital win room
Yeah.
and people used to go figure it out.
And there still is a digital win room, right? For the
Yep.
big major
really big
deals,
deals, yeah.
right? That you're talking about this 3 to 5 year transformational deal. There's still the win rooms. But the unique thing a couple years ago is these funding programs are now available in Partner Center and they're partner led, meaning
Love it.
you don't have to go to the Microsoft seller and you don't have to engage. You simply go into Partner Center and nominate your partner. It'll tell you if the partner qualifies, and then you go deliver and you upload your proof of execution. So it puts it in the partner's
Yeah,
hand
just to
instead of
chime
having
in,
to
just to
rely.
chime in, Jen, on where that is in Partner Center. So, because most partners are like, where is this partner-led program in Partner Center? So you have to enroll in what's called the Microsoft Commerce Incentive. And then when you're enrolled in that, on your incentive workspace, you will see the section to look at the different Microsoft Commerce Incentive offers where you can then nominate your customer and see if they qualify.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that, Erin. And Erin, by the way, we're going to get to Erin in a moment here, but there is nobody that knows more about Partner Center than Erin Feiger, and she's written the book and there's a YouTube channel set up for this as well for our listeners and viewers.
Well, I was just going to do the
Yeah, and
similar
also to
shout
talk
out.
to Jen. Yeah, thanks, guys. Also to talk to what Jen was saying earlier too about the solution plays. So if you already have an offer live in the marketplace and it's in the solutions catalog, I always recommend to partners at the beginning of the new Microsoft fiscal year to go out to your solutions catalog and make sure that each of your listings you're really trying to go to market with Microsoft on, that you go into them and you update and make sure that they are aligned to the current solution areas and sales plays. So it's already live in Partner Center, the FY26 solution areas and solution plays. So get out there, go into your solutions catalog. You have to be a co-sell solutions admin in order to do that. But go out there and make sure that your offers that you've been co-selling on are current and aligned to the new solution areas and plays.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
and Erin, I'll add to that a little bit. I mean, it's critical as a partner. Yes, it's complicated and it gets confusing to get it right the first time. And that's where, companies and individuals like Erin, with Core, that's, if you just engage to learn some of those basics, it's a much easier and you can get started a lot.
We're saving a
faster.
lot of steps here with the people in
Yeah.
this incredible group here.
Yeah.
Any final tips for maximizing their go-to-market potential for those
Yeah,
partners?
coming to MCEM just for a second. So there's two key things in MCEM, the funding that I mentioned, and it's aligning to your hero offer. But another tip I give there is to have an account-based marketing plan. You pick a time-bound marketing activity, like inviting a customer to a webinar. Now, at the end of the day, you may not even need them to come to the webinar. It's about having something time-bound and a reason to reach out, and then you could always bring that content to them.
I love
So
it.
that's just an MCEM. But I do have a couple other tips that great. So you speak the language, check. That's your first one. The second one is you have this MCEM win formula where you have your account-based marketing activity. You have the hero offer aligned to it, but it doesn't sell itself,
No, it
right?
doesn't.
You can speak the language, you can
Yeah.
have a formula. You need to, the third one is getting a committed strategy.
Committed
Yeah,
strategy.
committed-
What's that?
It means that, hey, if I'm in an organization, sometimes I can build the pieces, but unless I have an executive sponsor within my organization that says this is a priority, so you need an
Yeah.
executive or a sales sponsor that's saying, yes, let's go execute this sales play, this campaign. And you also need to pick target customers.
Yeah.
Most of them just, hey, we launched it, we put it in, Partner Center now. The customers
spray
are going
and
to come.
pray, yeah.
Right.
yeah.
No, pick a target customer list, research those customers, have a plan, and have a dedicated pursuit team.
I love it.
So, and you mentioned kind of the October event in Reston. These are some of the things that we're going to go through
Yeah.
is what does this playbook look like and how do we help, put this win formula together?
And we're going to layer out the principles which tie into this as well. And then each of you has such incredible expertise in this area for helping our partners that'll be there. So thank you so much for
Yeah.
this. So Leanne, welcome. And
Yes.
so we have this with Microsoft's organizational shift towards Copilot and Azure Marketplace. It's reshaped how partners engage. How does your frame workshop, which I know you've been here and we've talked about fame in our podcast, but take us through it a little bit and how they can better align around fame and why it's so important to them to get their greatest results.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, first thing I would say is a big thank you to Microsoft for streamlining some things this year. I think reducing solution areas and how they go to market is ultimately really going to benefit customers as well as partners. And that's really what fame is all about. So fame is a framework that I created after working with quite a few partners, especially one ISV, and built them into Microsoft's #1 co-sell partner globally. So fame, really understanding at the very beginning, what is your focus with Microsoft, right? Who is the audience, meaning like who at Microsoft of these new sales organizations really cares and is selling solutions that you align with? What's your message? A customer message. A lot of organizations say, oh, we've got lots of marketing and messaging. It's usually to an end customer. It's not the same as your messaging to Microsoft as a sales organization, right? So really think that through. And then the last part, probably the most important, is execution. Making sure, like Aaron is going to go through in a little bit, about really understanding where you fit in Partner Center. And then at the end of the day, it's all sales enablement. You can be the expert on alignment and MCEM and all those important things. But if your sales organization doesn't speak the language, as Jen was saying earlier, and really understand how to work with their counterparts at Microsoft, it's really not going to scale the way you want it to. And so I think really having fame early on, building out your framework of how you want to go to market with Microsoft is the most important thing. But it's really only half of it. You really need to invest and understand how Microsoft works, how they go to market, what they care about. And like Jen was saying earlier, right? They've done a good job of breaking that out for you. But I think attending events, I'll just give a quick plug. Ultimate Partner Live is a great place to go and really get a deep dive understanding of the solution plays and what Microsoft is prioritizing this year, as well as working with Rev Alliances or the other experts on this call to really help shorten that process for you, right? Because you could spend all year trying to figure this out. But why, when you could have somebody like us really shorten that cycle for you?
Leanne, can you share an example of how you applied fame before? And I know you have countless examples, but share one with us. Help illustrate this for our viewers and listeners today.
Absolutely. So all ISVs and partners out there have likely an area of specialty, right? It could be Office 365 Copilot. It could be a security solution. Fame really helps you boil down where you're going to go to market and have the most success quickly with Microsoft. So, for example, a partner who focuses on teams, right? They need to align their sales play with Microsoft's team sales plays, align themselves with the team sales organization, right? And then go ahead and execute that way. Understand the programs that support teams, because they're not all the same. If you think, oh, I'm just going to call all the AEs out there and I'm going to go into Partner Center and use all the programs, it doesn't work that way, right? You need to really focus. And so that's where I've had a success, is helping some of my clients who have a specific product not spend so much time trying to boil the ocean with Microsoft, but really quickly focus on where they can achieve the greatest value and ultimately drive revenue.
And you talk about the messaging as well. One of the things we didn't touch on today is how the organization is broken up now by industry. Like, there are industry segments across every type of customer at Microsoft, and there are groups, telco, healthcare, federal, state and local. I mean, you just go on and on and on. And your messaging really needs to resonate with the people you're speaking to, right, Leanne?
Absolutely. That's what focus is all about, right?
Yeah.
So pick an industry or two. Trust me, I've tried in the past. If you go out with, hey, we work across all industry, unfortunately, no one at Microsoft really sells all industry now. They are specializing. And so it's in your best interest to pick one or two, really land and expand from there.
Yeah. And then get that success and then build the flywheel against it, right? We've seen that.
Absolutely.
We've seen that many times.
Yes.
And you came into an organization that was very complex years ago, the one that you took the pinnacle of success as the top co-selling. So, and you had several different solutions you had going across the entire organization. Like, what were the things that you did specifically with that organization to align them the right way?
Well, it's really where fame was developed. But I would say at the end of the day, we got aligned. We had our message right. We were tracking things in Partner Center. We had executive engagement. Jen was mentioning that earlier. But I think where we were able to then scale was the sales enablement piece that I talked about before. And so we spent and invested a good amount of time enabling our sellers not to learn Copilot or Microsoft security products or that kind of sales training. It was to understand Microsoft's priorities and really understand their language, like was said earlier, right? So enable your sellers so that when they get on a call with Microsoft, they understand what they need to be prepared with. They understand that you can't start off a conversation with a partner saying, hey, bring me into all your opportunities. You have to give to get first, right? You have to build that level of trust. And so spending time helping your sales organization understand that. And then one thing I would say, when you do get on a call with a Microsoft seller and you do some co-sell planning, make sure that your sales team knows that they should bring an ask to that call. They should be prepared to say,
So important.
Here's where I need your help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I would say that that's really where I've seen the greatest amount of success. Also, the biggest fall off as well is if you skip that sales enablement part. It doesn't help if the only person who understands Microsoft in your organization is you.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, if you skip that sales enablement part, it's, in my experience, when people skip it, it puts everything at a screeching halt. And we're like, okay, we're going to pause what we're doing until you go back and do sales enablement, because nobody's ready for these co-sell introductions. And they're like, wait, what do I do? So you really need to make sure you have that sales enablement.
And the way you show up in those, right? So, I mean, it's incredible to see how poorly many partners show up for those co-sell meetings.
Well, and Microsoft's giving you their playbook with MCEM. So if you're I don't know what our ask should be, go look at MCEM.
Go look it up.
Go see what's going on at that stage in MCEM. Those are the activities that Microsoft's focused on. So then you can kind of align your sales process, what you're doing, and then you'll find it'll naturally identify itself. Like, oh, this is the thing I should ask for, because that's what makes sense in this stage that I'm in, which aligns to this stage that Microsoft's in, and these are the things they're focused on.
And it's a thought shift.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Most of our partners think that they're selling to the end customer, which they absolutely are. But if you want to co-sell with Microsoft and you want to gain traction, you're actually selling to Microsoft.
Yes.
You have to tell Microsoft.
Customer.
Right. Microsoft doesn't customer.
Yeah.
You first have to be able to convince the Microsoft seller why they should be partnering with you. And once you build that rapport and once you build that, you can then expand that, especially in the SME&C segment. Right?
Well, I want to layer in another level of complexity. Erin and I have had this conversation about the 7 seats at the table, right? Our good friend Jay's been up here on stage before, and he'll be with us in Reston as well. But we talk about these 7 seats at the table because the complexity around the customer has changed. Customers used to just hire a GSI and say, here, go fix this problem for us. Now they kind of act as the pilot, right? They're kind of piloting it, and they're pulling the partners in. Erin, I know you have some really tangible and fungible thoughts here. I'd love you to share that with us.
Yeah, we, in our session back in May, and what we'll be also talking about again in October is we took Jay's 7 different partners that are involved in the sales experience, and we said, how does that relate to co-selling with Microsoft? And really, there are 7 top Microsoft teams that you're going to run across when you're trying to co-sell with Microsoft to your customer. And so we identified those 7 top Microsoft teams. And with MCEM, we show you where these teams you'll run across them during the MCEM process and what they're focused on and how they can help you. And then in the workshop in October, we'll go through the exercise I have on, okay, now take your sales process, map it out, and look specifically at like, what are the activities you're doing in your sales stages to get from one sales stage to the next? And then see how that aligns to MCEM so that you can then, when you start to identify opportunities to co-sell with Microsoft and you share them, you'll know, okay, I'm at this stage, I'm doing these things, I need this additional information to get to the next stage. And so that aligns to where in MCEM. So then you're better prepared when you're writing your introduction email, when you get on the call with Microsoft to really talk about, yes, this is what's going on with the project. Here's where we're at. Here's where we're going. Here's what we need in order to get there.
So what are some strategies that partners can follow to align across these 7? And then going from one to the other, is there a best practice you can share about how they can get from one to the other? Because it seems like you'd be sharing the same set of messages across all 7.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we thread the needle here, Leanne talks about focus. So don't boil the ocean. Find something very specific. You know, we always say start small, find your door opener, and then go build your hero motion, which Ashley is going to talk about, and how Ashley can help you build that hero motion, which is then the messaging and all of that joint value prop. And then I talk about taking that whole focus in hero motion and you activate it inside your CRM system by creating a co-sell play. So the focus in hero motion turns into a co-sell play inside your CRM system, where you then go identify those opportunities and customers, you share them, and you build a co-sell operating model for that co-sell play so that you can identify, share, keep track of it, manage updates around it, and then ultimately win the deal with Microsoft inside of Partner Center.
There's a lot to unpack here. So give us an example, like a partner example of how this applies and what you've seen the best partners do.
The best example is, again, to find that door opener, the topic that's going to be relevant. So if you're securing the agents, find what is the best activity to start to engage with Microsoft around, hey, we have this offering where we secure agents. And then go inside your CRM system and identify your target audience or your active opportunities and start to share them, and take the MCEM and your sales methodology, map them to figure out how I build my co-sell message to then introduce, I've got this opportunity, it's around this very specific securing the agent, and here's where we're at, and here's what we need to do next. And then ultimately, when you have those wins, you'll start to see, your success indicators that make you comfortable to open up and do more, either go bigger with that one play. So maybe you started in one sales territory or with a couple of sales reps that are, your early adopters, and then build it out and start to open up your net inside of CRM to say, now go find me more customers like this, but open up the region or add more sellers into your filter so that you can start to see more and more of your pipeline opportunities.
And I was going to give a live example, and Erin, you mentioned it twice, that intro email. I'm a PDM, so every day I get the message that says, hey, can you connect me to the sales rep for this account?
Yeah.
And I have a rule. I just respond and say, please send me the Partner Center ID. Oh, I didn't put it in yet. Well, great. Go put it in.
Do it.
And then I basically say, hey, do you want me to forward the email that you just sent to me, or would you like to put a little bit more? And I give them a little template, right? Here's what works. And normally it's like they kind of complain a little bit, but then they come back, they fill it out. Hey, if they put my name down, they'll address it to me, but they give me an email I can directly forward to the account team, and it says, here's a little bit about my opportunity. Here's who I'm talking to. Here's the ask, right? Leanne had talked about the ask. And I don't think I've ever had an account executive then come back and say no. The only time they say no is if it's an RFP and it's competitive and they can't talk to any partners until it's through. Other than that, I get really great responses. They come back and say like, absolutely, and I get on a call. But if you just, and I can't remember if it was Ashley or Leanne, you can't just say, connect me to the seller, right? No, bring something to the table, bring that ask to the table in a simple email that brands you, your company, your offer. I mean, Aaron kind of piloted that back in the day when we worked together, and it works really well.
Aaron, back to that and vocalize. I know you've used the term vocalizing the wins, right? And so,
Yes.
yeah, so talk more about that.
Yeah. Funny enough, Ashley and I partnered up on a workshop recently, and her customer really loved this topic, vocalizing the wins. It's really important, and I think this is the step. This is what takes you from good to great. So you're doing all the right things, you're in all the right programs, you're co-selling, you're closing your deals, you're selling through the marketplace. Like you're showing up on Microsoft's radar in all the right ways. But what's not in the system is the momentum story. You really need to own the momentum of the partnership. So you have to take putting all the things in the system and the data, and then map it with, or then add the story that goes with that. Here's what our quarter over quarter momentum looks like. We are growing, we're scaling, our pace is X, the rate that we're going at. You get that momentum story going so that when you meet new Microsoft people, they are already going to vet that you are who you say you are by looking in the system and seeing the data. But what gets them excited and wanting to really engage with you is that, oh, wait, you've got momentum going. Like, I don't want to not miss this train. I better jump on. This is a hot partner who's got a great solution that's getting traction. They know how to partner with us. Like, this is where I want to spend my time, because everybody's trying to decide like how to spend their time and which partners to invest in. So if you can tell a great momentum story of like, don't miss out on us, we're a great Microsoft partner and we're going places, like that's going to get you even more traction in the middle layer, right? So a lot of people want to know, like, how do you really like break into Microsoft? Yes, it's a top down, bottom up, but really the game changer, again, what takes you from good to great is when you infiltrate the middle layer. And you can only infiltrate that middle layer with data and a story.
I love it. Ash, you were going to say
I
something.
just love the concept, and I think about it as an always on motion. So programmatically, you've got a great win with Microsoft. What is the story around that win? And a measure I like to use is Partner of the Year awards. If a partner comes to us and there is no historic momentum story, there haven't been win wires published, or maybe over the course of 12 months, there's only been 1 or 2 win wires published. These artifacts or this momentum story should already exist within the organization. And then the job at Partner of the Year time is simply summarizing these wins and this momentum story into that particular award format. So really encourage partners to be thinking about that weekly, monthly, even daily cadence of those always on activities to create a partnership that is a living, breathing thing.
Yeah.
I would
it's
just
not
like
an
to
artifact
echo
that you
that.
create once and you're done, right?
Yeah, I would love to echo that. I see that work very well with some of my clients. I would say, just as we're launching into FY26 with Microsoft, this might be a good opportunity for partners to really think about staffing and how they are managing and driving their partnership with Microsoft. Because I think gone are the days where you have one alliance person and you think we're good to go. I think, having marketing support like Ashley and Aaron were just talking about, to be able to have that always on message, to have your Microsoft facing message, to do win wires, to keep that message going, that ultimately is the message you need to drive with Microsoft, not so much your product functionality, speeds and feeds, and pricing discounts, right? I think it's really important to think about how are we going to manage the ongoing day-to-day management of this partnership. And I think you really need to consider something more than just a single alliance person.
Yeah, really good point.
Yeah, and you have to take that artifact and you reuse it multiple times in lots of different ways. You take the win story, you attach it to your next email introduction. Hey, if you like, this is why we want to meet and what we want to do, but also here's our latest win, so that they have a better understanding of customer stories. You upload it into Partner Center. You go over to your solutions catalog. You go into that offer that the win was around, and you put it into your documents as one of the win stories. So you start just making a collection of win stories there, and then on a quarterly basis, you create a quarterly momentum one-pager story. And that's what you go use when you're like, hey, sales leader or marketing leader, I'd love to like talk to you more broadly about programmatic things that we could do together across your team or to better support your org. And that becomes your artifact that you used for your ask of when sending that email, like why I want to meet with this team. I've got this momentum going and I'd love to do something more strategic and programmatic at scale with you. And that's how you balance the like always on activities you're doing in Partner Center and co-selling and working at the field level with getting into the middle layer within Microsoft.
I love it. I love this. I'm just sitting here going, I can't wait till October 27th, 28th through the 29th, because first of all, getting the four of you up on stage again, in person. We're going to live stream that event. Tickets are on sale right now at theultimatepartner.com. But so much expert advice, and then being in the room with each of you for a couple of days. We're going to have a icebreaker. People can sign up for the executive dinner as well and spend more time with you. I think the one question I would have is like, I'm just starting out. Like, what's the one piece of advice, very quickly, each of you would tell me, if I'm just starting out right now, what should I do now working with Microsoft?
I love something that Jen
start.
said around, oh, go ahead, Leanne.
I was just going to say, I think I love the way the four of us, we really do specialize in different areas of this process. And so I guess I would start with fame, obviously. So really focus and build your framework, your go-to-market strategy. And once you have that, then you start to layer on all the other areas that we've been talking about today.
Nice. Ash, I think you were going to say something as well there.
Yeah, I love the worksheet that Jen put forward and having your hero offer there. It sounds simple, but it is complex. If you're an ISV, your solution might be more clear. However, maybe you're not crystal clear on what industries that you're servicing. And when it comes to SIs, GSIs, I have this conversation day in, day out. It can be incredibly challenging to identify what is that one superpower that you want to be known for. And it is highly strategic work. Even getting those elements that Jen mentioned in terms of the introduction email to somebody at Microsoft and knowing, for example, what customer accounts you're targeting. Getting clear on all of that strategy work is so essential. So have your hero offer.
Have your hero. Aaron, over to you, Aaron.
Yeah, so I kind of align with everything that they're saying as well, which is I always say you've got to go slow to go fast. So you've got to stop and do the strategy and the plan and understand what the focus is for you, what your hero motion is that you're going to go to market with Microsoft on. Then once you understand that, then you can go into Partner Center and start to set up Partner Center in a way that activates your go-to-market strategy and plan aligned to that very specific focus area and hero motion that you are going to market with first.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'll kind of wrap it up because those are all key things.
Really key.
Download the playbooks. right? That's the
Yeah.
first place to start is download the playbooks to even know what am I getting myself into, right? And then I always start the customer or the partner, right? Do an assessment of where you are. If you're trying to drive, know what your goal is and then do an assessment of where that breakdown is, because it might be you need better focus. It might be I don't have a hero offer. It might be, you know what, I'm doing all this, but I'm not operating. To know where to go from there is download the playbooks and then do an assessment of what is stopping you today from hitting the goal that you actually want to achieve. And that'll help you figure out, well, do I need to speak the language? Do I need a strategy like Aaron just mentioned? Do I need a win formula and a hero offer? Right? You might have some of those. So do that assessment.
Such great advice from this group. And come to our event. I mean, that's where I'm telling you should start.
Start there.
Start there. Reston, Virginia, October 27th through the 29th. So privileged to have the 4 of you here today for this live stream. So privileged to have you joining us and joining our partners at the Next Ultimate Partner Live event, bringing this forward. The expertise in this room is palpable, and I do believe you're going to be able to help a lot of our partners become more successful this next year. We'll provide links in the chat here for getting it to it, but theultimatepartner.com/events. You can find out about this event, and we've got a lot in store. This is just the beginning of what's really going to be a very busy time for us. We kind of took the summer off in many respects, right? We all kind of like sat back and watched where things were going, but we've got a lot of incredible momentum ahead, and we want you to all be part of it. So thank you. Thank you, these incredible leaders, Leanne, Ash, Aaron, Jen. So great to have you each in the room and digitally and in person. And for all of you who are watching today, thank you so much for your time and for being part of the Ultimate Partner. Thank you.